Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with more SFO Grimhammer. The newest patch, Kingdoms and Wildlands, drops this Friday and we've still got a few things to cover. In today's video we're going to be focusing around Chaos. There's going to be a heavy focus on KAIROS as we do know some certain things have changed for him, and also just covering some stuff for the Monogods in general. So all four major Chaos factions will have a little bit of love in this video. Tomorrow we'll be covering Kislev, and then Friday I'll be covering the rather large Bretonnian rework. So with regards to faction and lord effects for KAIROS, not much has changed, but we can discuss it here. Agent success chance plus 2% and enemy agent success chance minus 2% for every exalted Lord of Change. This is going to make it easier for you to be able to spread your influence. Global recruitment duration, 1 turn for all units. Enemy reinforcement time period, prediction accuracy plus 100%, by saying that 4 times fast. Battle reinforcement time minus 50%, passive ability Touch of the Warp for all characters faction-wide. Can unlock unique items, this is the usual stuff. Enemy hero action success chance minus 50%, ambush defense chance plus 100% for own armies in province, and finally enemy miscast base chance plus 25% for enemy armies in province. Let's jump into some other changes. So this is a change that's going to affect all the Monogod factions. I'm just saying it now so I don't have to repeat myself 4 times. The income acquired from minor settlements and major settlements, this would be from your main settlement buildings, has been increased to the maximum for the minor settlements of 300 and the maximum of 500 for the major settlements. This is actually going to be very beneficial to you, not just for KAIROS, but every single Monogod faction, Kulgath included. You're going to feel that little jump. You're going to feel getting the ability to recruit more armies, and also being able to recruit some better units, not being stuck with the trash 0 tier all the time. From experience, every single Monogod faction has been able to benefit from this, where with even Kulgath, I was actually fielding more than just NURGLEings, and yeah, even with KHORNE, I was getting a lot more bloodletters, not focusing too much on marauders. It was actually quite nice to see this. It's amazing what a few little bits here and there just change up your ability to have a more aggressive type of campaign. It's actually quite nice. Cults overall have been fixed for every faction. We're going to go through that individually, but when it comes to KAIROS, you can see here, there are no negatives essentially to the cults now. There was a bit of an issue where everything would just either require an enemy lord to be there or certain other things. It's focusing heavily on bonuses now, so you'll be able to get some cash. You'll be able to boost up the faction too by giving them some extra cash too, give them some extra control. It's very Tzeentchian. It allows you to be able to get some more diplomacy out there. I mean, it's still, you're a Chaos faction, you're going to have a lot of issues, but overall, this is massive benefits to you as a faction, where the cults aren't just focusing essentially on just cash and grimoires. Now there is a little bit of a mix. It honestly feels a lot better, and you do benefit from it more. Hell, even the grimoire building, there's a way to be able to be guessing 30 per turn. This is a massive change for KAIROS. Keep in mind that obviously this doesn't affect the Changeling, as he's got his own version of cults. But yeah, if you've been looking about playing KAIROS, now is probably the time. Manifestations have also been buffed up for Tzeentch. They've been buffed up for pretty much every faction. We'll be going over them as time progresses through the video. So first up, you don't get that silly, you can't move your force after you've done a manifestation thing, which is frustrating. Second thing is the needed corruption has been halved, so you don't have to go all the way up to 3,000 corruption anymore. The benefits are better. You get a lot more reason to actually use them. Because I don't know about you, but in vanilla I would forget about the manifestations, especially with Tzeentch, because none of them seemed too good. Now, yeah, everything here is great. You get a lot more grimoires per turn, a lot more if you use the first one. Second one to do some damage is also quite good. Yep, all of them are very, very good. The only problem is, have you been conditioned to just forget that they exist when you play as Tzeentch? But anyways, we do have one final change for Tzeentch, and this one is a pretty cool one. So, your exalted Lords of Change now aren't going to be a Law of Metal caster or a Law of Tzeentch caster. Now they have access to both laws. Yep, you can pick and choose. This actually works out quite well. Obviously, keep in mind that your Arcane Conduit and your Magical Reserves are split up, but it doesn't really take that long to get to the end for both, to be honest, and you're kind of wanting to have both laws anyway, because, I mean, it's a spellcaster with 2 different laws of magic. What's not to love, right? I'll be very honest with you, it's perhaps my favorite change coming for the TZEENTCH faction, because, well, first off, it makes sense. Second off, I was kind of avoided having them a lot, mostly because they were just slower in most cases than the Heralds, and the Heralds pretty much did the same thing. Now you have a lot more to do with them. Alright, now we're going to talk about SLAANESH because, yes, you know, I'm a big fan. So yeah, the SLAANESH manifestations have gotten very, very strong once again. A lot more benefits, more reason to actually use them. The benefit of not having to need that much corruption also means that they will be semi-consistent if you can remember to use them. You'll be able to summon a Disciple army as per usual, but the benefits gained from the first 3 are just kind of better. You've got the usual stat bonuses, you will be taking some damage from that. Second one is going to reduce the campaign movement range for enemies, but there's also the benefit of getting a bunch of devotees and just some extra debuffs on the enemy army for a turn, which is going to be quite useful for you. And the last one, upkeep production, all that type of stuff, which again, kind of useful if you're one of these people that maybe you like building doom stacks and you want to make them cheaper for a while because you just desperately need that cash. Same thing with SLAANESH cults. Things are just generally better. You can see that you'll be able to get some extra diplomacy with other factions. A lot more seductive influence can be put onto the enemy factions that might have a cult in their territories that aren't really SLAANESH-y. Well, anything that you just kind of want to seduce. A lot more diplomatic relations with all factions, which is going to be very, very good for you in terms of just not being dogpiled. It does become a bit of a problem, especially since you're in the middle of the world. Every faction's basically going to hate you. I feel like cults just generally feel a lot better with this update. So needed, especially for a core faction mechanic that, let's be honest, doesn't really get used that much, right? I've basically ignored cults altogether when it comes to vanilla playthrough. Alright, NURGLE actually gets a few more changes, which the first one is income has been increased across the board when it comes to income generated from your military buildings, so it's more uniform now. Everything is basically giving you around 100 income, but that means that you're not dealing with, am I going to have more or less money next turn? That guessing game was kind of atrocious. At the end of the buildings themselves, you'll be getting some bonuses towards your units, and obviously this is only focusing on your military structures, but believe me, it does make it less of a slog. I actually can enjoy Kugath now. I know that sounds really odd, but sometimes, like I said, little changes can drastically change how a campaign plays and make it fun or not. And we're going to go with the usual here, obviously. Unholy manifestations have been buffed up. Again, no stopping your faction, which was always such a weird thing for me. You get a lot more better buffs. Blessing of NURGLE is possibly one of my favorites, because just being more resistant to damage is obviously very, very useful. You've got exponential growth. This one is really, really good too, because growth plus 250, the construction time reduced. Everything is just a lot better. So I've been playing with NURGLE just casually recently using this mod, and I've taken over all of Cathay, I've taken over the Mountains of Morn, I've got multiple armies up and running. It's just so much better. You'll see that too when you start looking towards the cults. The cults are better too. It's really, really good. This is one of the times I'd say if you've been waiting to play as Kugath, yeah, this is the faction that you're going to want to do. Infections are just better to get. Everything is better to get. The cult changes feel better. There's growth for all provinces in one of the cult's buildings, which I would say is probably the best one for you, because you do have a bit of an issue, obviously, with the Mountains of Morn being inhospitable to you, or, well, just problematic. But yeah, you've got that bonus now. You're going to get growth faster, you're going to get your stuff up and running quicker. It honestly does feel like now is the time to play as Kugath. This is stuff that I'm hoping we'll see in the future, or at least something very similar when it comes to vanilla in the eventual Thrones of Decay DLC, because if they're going to do a NURGLE DLC and not fix up Kugath, I will cry. I will cry. So in regards to KHORNE, when it comes to manifestations, there's not too much of a point to discuss this. You're going to remember this anyway, because, well, yeah, with KHORNE, at least for me, I always remember manifestations. They have been buffed up, though, as you can tell on screen. They do have better stats overall, and yeah, you know, it's just the KHORNE ones were kind of key. The benefit here is obviously the more experience gain for characters and units. Obviously more movement range, summoning the army that you're going to have to deal with anyway, because that was something that kept you going. Overall, KHORNE is in a very good spot. I think that KHORNE had a big quality of life update a few patches ago in SFO, and they've been very, very good. So yeah, there's not really too much to talk about here. The cults are better though. I will say that the cults do provide a lot more uses. You're not really going to get a lot of cults. Actually, you might if Valk does expand a decent amount, which she kind of does sometimes. The second cult itself is probably the strongest one, as it does reduce the upkeep of all your stuff faction-wide by -1%. You can stack that. So if Valk does her job and she expands fairly well, yeah, you're going to be getting a lot of these cults up and running. And yeah, you're going to get next to no costing armies, which is horrendously terrifying for anyone who has to deal against that, right? Thankfully not you, because you're the one playing the faction. But yeah, these are the changes coming to the Monogod factions in the patch. It's a little bit smaller than usual, but as you can tell, it's fixing up a lot of things that kind of need that quality of life update, which I feel is quite good. It's nice seeing this all coming together. The next two videos are going to be quite large, don't you worry about that. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Start a bit of discussion. Until then, I'll see you all again very, very soon, guys. Have a good day.